Great, your laughter has been caught. Thank you. Hey everybody, this is Brian Trendler, founder of LAF Tech. We have a full house today. We've got co-founder Marcel Allen present. Apparently giving off animal sounds. And sitting next to me tonight is Greg Bennick. He was our keynote speaker on LAF Tech 3, speaking about scene.
True.
Welcome, Greg.
Welcome to you.
Good to see you. It's been a while.
It has been a while.
Why don't you give us, the audience, and a little recap on who you are, what your business is, and how things are going.
Okay, great. I'm Greg Bennick. I'm a keynote speaker for the commercial market. I perform keynote speeches across North America primarily. And I also am a biographer. I'm writing a biography on a cultural anthropologist named Ernest Becker, who theorized about fear of death and the way that influenced human behavior, specifically violence. And I am the executive director of 100 for Haiti, a nonprofit that does development work in the areas of clean water and anti-sexual assault in rural Haiti.
I think of all the people that we're ever going to have sitting here, that's going to be the best, most in-depth answer ever. Because as you know, there's going to be a couple comedians here as well, and they're going to say, I get on stage and I say jokes. So that's great, man. Thank you. I stalk you on a regular basis. I see all the stuff that you're doing online, and it's remarkable, man. You've got like the biggest heart, and the craziest thing about that is you have a heart and you know what to do with it.
That's one of the greatest compliments I've ever been offered.
Well, I'm not sure about that, but
no, it is. I mean, because the thing is, having a heart and knowing what to do with it is way different than just having a heart and feeling compassion.
Yeah. I
appreciate that.
You have a voice, you have a direction, you have this dizzying ability to rally people. And that's just always puzzled me. I love you, man. It's great. And, for anyone who does care out there in the podcast verse, I actually went to college with this guy.
It's true.
Cornish College of the Arts. So we're like Cornish game hens in the house, right?
There wasn't a team. There was no team.
There was no team. No, but we watched a lot of ballet dancers doing modern movement things.
We did, and dated some of them too.
Many. God help us all. Okay, tell me. Okay, so we're going to go out kind of not really off track, but I want the viewers to be able to get to know you, Greg Bennick. Tell us something silly. What do you do for entertainment? What do you seek out when you think to yourself, I want to go out and do something fun?
Well, those are two different questions. What I do for entertainment, I'm just going to go back to this morning.
Okay.
I spent this morning doing Rubik's Cubes. Did you not know that? Did you not know that I do Rubik's Cubes?
No.
There you go. So Rubik's Cube is something that I enjoy doing. Hashtag nerd life. And I enjoy that quite a bit. But when I seek out, something entertaining, I end up falling back into work/adventure/passion. So it's almost that loops around back to something quasi-work, adventure, life-like. But just strictly entertainment, Rubik's Cubes. If you had one here, I'd be ignoring your questions and trying to solve it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, total tangent here. Have you seen the newest version of the Rubik's Cube?
I didn't know there was a newest version.
It literally has every quadrant, every cube has also however many corners are in a cube. This is why I'm an artist.
It's a 3x3.
A 3x3.
Well, the Rubik's Cube is a 3x3, meaning 3 x 3. Yeah.
Each one of those equivalent cubes has multiple. Think a pyramid slice out of that corner, rotating apexes. And the whole thing looks like the original Rubik's Cube plus that original snake thing that you could fold out had a baby.
Okay.
And it's absolutely crazy. It uses physics now to solve it.
Nothing about that sounds fun to me.
No. But then again, nothing about a Rubik's Cube ever was fun to me. So,
if you learn how to do a Rubik's Cube, it's a great mental challenge and fun, and you'll be...
That's what my parents said about math, and I never learned that either. Yeah, okay. Okay, well, good. Now, as I mentioned before, you were the speaker. You were the keynote speaker at the LAF Tech 3.0 event, the big event, the 3-hour hurrah that we have every quarter. And tell us a little bit about how you contributed to that event. And then I have a follow-up question.
At LAF Tech 3.0, my keynote was centered around a speech that I had written, a comedic speech for a humorous speaking contest about my family and sort of mythical, somewhat truth-based idea that I'm a failure in love because my ancestors have been failures at love. So I created a comedic speech around that used a lot of theatricality to set scenes within the speech, and the speech is only 6.5 minutes long, but to set scenes so that the audience was transported on a journey. So given that the theme was scene, I thought that this was the perfect speech because people could see how you can create a world within a speech or a world within a presentation, and then in that context make people laugh, because once they understand what world they're in, then they have the context with which they can just interpret humor or interpret ideas a lot more easily. So
yeah, no, it was absolutely fantastic. It was probably one of our most heavily engaged events that we've had as well. I'll never forget having a line wrapping around the back when people were getting up and they were trying stuff and they were getting feedback from you and me, for example. No, that was incredible. The follow-up on that is, that we teach the 6 methods of humor. Mm-hmm. You haven't been able to attend any of our little evening mini classes that we have here, our workshops, but we just recently shut the doors down on our successful 18-week 101 series for the LAF Tech workshops, and that was literally 101 level, 3 weeks of each of the 6 methods of humor, and it was phenomenally well. I just lost the word completely. Attended and liked, and they want to come back for the 201 series, which is really, really cool. You are a perfect example in my eyes of someone who can take scene, but also utilize sound, story, potentially even sequence in some of your like joke telling, humor telling. Do you feel that you have other strengths as well that kind of fall under those?
I think that in terms of strength, you mean performative strengths? Yeah. I mean, my background is in speaking and on stage. I've been on stage for 30 years now. So being on stage is natural to me, but it's also, it contributes to a performing vocabulary once I'm in front of an audience, meaning that when people stand up in front of an audience, they don't have a performing vocabulary. They're literally standing up with no words, and this is metaphorical now. They stand up with no idea what to do or say in the context of what they're doing, right? They don't know how to present themselves. But I've got a vocabulary that just comes from experience, from being in front of people again and again and again in every possible scenario. And I think that vocabulary is contributed to by, use of the voice and knowing how to convey an idea with words, but also with a bit of acting and experience with having audiences laugh at things that I've said and whatnot. All those things contribute to being able to create a scene or create a sequence or the other attributes that you're teaching. It all kind of comes together by way of just experience in all these different performing realms, from keynoting to doing comedic presentations, to singing in a punk rock band, to all these different things. I mean, they all come together in front of the audience.
And they really all do convalesce into this one person that's on stage, and that has been you, and that was you during that keynote, which was, again, just remarkable to see. So, slight pivot. Tell us how Greg Bennick learns. How do you practice? How do you develop your skills with humor?
That's a great question. Ultimately, I've always been a bad student when people are explaining things to me. I did incredibly poorly in school, although my grades were fine. That's why we went
to an art school.
Well, yeah, my grades were fine-ish, but when people are telling me things, I just don't remember. I just don't remember anything. But experiential learning has always been the way that I learn. I have to do it for myself. So I would say over time, the way that I learn is by being in front of audiences and trial and error. The keynote that I do commercially is the convoluted mishmash of every possible mistake that I've made over 30 years that I've just learned from. So what everyone's watching is the result of all the mistakes, right? Mm-hmm. Not just the result of natural talent or some crazy thing. So it's just getting in front of audiences again and again and again. And then, and also being willing to practice on my own too a bit. I mean, it's so important. You know, I'm working on a speech right now where I'm just kind of crafting it and wordsmithing it and thinking it through, but you just have to put in the time and the hours. I mean, it's just important to keep at it, you know, to keep at it, even if you don't have a tangible end goal, or even if you don't know if you reach the end goal. You just have to keep at your craft and get in front of people and do it again and again.
I think you just alluded toward it, but give us a quick rundown on like your favorite project that you're working on right now.
I think my favorite project right now, I would say, is, you know, I'm kind of tossing between 100 for Haiti, which is always good. But in terms of presentation, I think that this Ernest Becker biography that I'm writing is really, really challenging, like epically challenging. Like even as I say that I'm writing, I'm thinking, how am I ever going to write this biography? It's like so challenging.
Yeah.
So I like that because I have no idea what I'm doing, right? And I've often spoken in my commercial keynotes about changing the world without having a clue. That's a topic that I present in the world. Changing the world without having a clue. So, and the premise of the keynote is all the things I've done over the course of my life have been the result of me diving in, not having a clue, and doing it anyway. And this project is so immense in its academic scope, and also trying to capture the humanity of a human being through the written word is bonkers, for lack of a better word. It's just so challenging. So I love the challenge, and I'm just overwhelmed by it and amazed by it. And ask me again in 2 years if I'm still sane.
Sure.
And hopefully I'll be somewhere along the line in the process past what I am now.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Okay, so moving along, we've got just a couple minutes here left. I'm going to move on to the 3 questions.
I'm ready.
These are the 3 questions that everyone who sits there gets to answer, and they're completely ridiculous.
Okay.
But the whole point is that we want to kind of catch you off guard and just kind of let you have a little fun. Because, of course, LAF Tech is learning about funny, but we also love laughing together. Okay. So, Greg Bennick, what is one of your biggest pet peeves?
When I share something sincere with somebody, and sincere meaning something tragic or painful maybe, and they respond by talking about a similar thing that's painful to them rather than acknowledging what I've said, I want to light an atom bomb in their face. I want to have an atom bomb, and I want to place it in their face, and then have the atom bomb explode
literally
in their face.
Yeah.
Not on, but in, like actually somehow in their face.
Yeah.
Atom bomb.
Well, possibly one of the most violent answers we've gotten, but I'm remarkably game. Okay, what is the most favorite place you've ever traveled to?
When I was, it was 4 years ago, I was on a speaking tour across Russia, and we visited a lake called Lake Baikal, Baikal, and it's a frozen lake the size of, I don't even know what, Nebraska. I mean, it's huge, and it's gorgeous and frozen and in Siberia and very cool and hard to get to. And Lake Baikal in Siberia, favorite place I visited.
This sounds amazing.
It was cool.
I want to have a Bond scene play out on that lake.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Someone's going down. Anyway, okay, last question. If you could be known for one thing only, and this isn't a once you pass type of question necessarily, but if you could be known for one thing only, what would that be?
I would be an extremely wealthy Rubik's Cube solving sexual dynamo.
All simultaneously.
That's the one thing.
Wow.
That I would be. I mean, imagine if after my death they said, he did this, but I mean, he was just so wealthy. He could solve a Rubik's Cube faster than anybody, and he was a sexual dynamo. If that's what I was known for throughout history and the future, that would be quite the legacy, don't you think?
Wow. Yeah. Once again, I'd be curious if anyone could ever top that. Okay, so we've got less than 60 seconds left. Greg, I want you to give us your website.
www.gregbennick.com. It's GregBennick.com. And the 100 for Haiti website is 100forhaiti.org, ONEHUNDREDFORHAITI.org.
Well, Greg, listen, man, it was an absolute honor to have you part of the LAF Tech family for 3.0. We hope to have you again back at some point. And then at the same time, we'll talk about the upcoming comedy events that we'd love to have you just share Well, you can have water since you don't drink and or brew. But it's just one of those things where we want to stay connected. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today.
Thank you.
And thanks for laughing with us.
Thank you.